It's men's basketball secret scrimmage season. I believe Allen Iverson once said, "We not talking about an exhibition. We not talking about a game. We talk about a scrimmage."
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Happy Monday. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. We had a secret scrimmage. We come to find out NC State reportedly played Georgia in a secret scrimmage over the weekend. Now, something I don't quite understand about these secret scrimmages is about how non-secretive they actually are. But we got to give shouts to our favorite college basketball insider. We bring back up Mr. Trilly Donovan back in the fold. Trilly Donovan was on top of all of the secret scrimmage knowledge. I believe it was on Saturday, but he reports that we played Georgia in a scrimmage, a secret scrimmage, and NC State came up short. Here is where I fall on this matter. It is literally just a scrimmage.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this too. I would have the same reaction if the score was flipped and we won. It's just a scrimmage. We have no idea what the box score looked like, who was actually playing. We know DJ Burns did not play, which leads me to my next slide here. Inside Pack Sports reported the Pack went without DJ Burns, which is pretty important to what we're trying to do this season. So please curb the overreactions. I'll start us there.
So Grayson, quick question. Who's our leading returning scorer on the team?
I believe that is Mr. DJ Burns.
So we're missing our leading returning scorer on the team, and people are upset about an 8-point loss in a secret scrimmage where we don't know the context of who played, who didn't, who got how many minutes. For all we know, he could have ran out the twos for like 20 minutes to say like, hey, I'm going to show y'all you're not as good as you think you are, or vice versa, whatever the case may be. And this is what we're doing. This is what we're – come on. Stop playing. Stop. Y'all quit playing. Let's be, I can't remember who said this, but it was some poet laureate candidate, I believe, that said, of all things in life that we can be and that we should be, freaking for real is the first of which. We need to be that. We need to be so for real about this, because what are we doing? At the end of the day, I'm much in the same vein as Grayson. I don't care if I heard that we won 114-40 or if we lost 114-40. I really don't care. Like, it's a scrimmage. We don't know any context. Grayson, have you seen the box score from this scrimmage?
I have not.
Oh, okay. I haven't either. Although the score came out, there is a shroud of secrecy around this. And also, who was the source? Like, what? Come on. Stop playing. Let's be for real here. If you want to be concerned 10 games into the season because we're 4-6, or because we're 2-8 or something like that, even though we play the Island of Misfit Toys, sure, I'm with you. I'm on board. Okay, great. Let's talk about it. We're talking about a scrimmage. Also, fun fact about Grayson's intro monologue here. This show is pre-recorded, and Grayson said, where should I go with this? My mic was muted, and I threw out the idea to do the Allen Iverson bit, but Grayson did not hear me because my mic was muted, and yet he still did the Allen Iverson bit. This is why Grayson and I, Ebony and Ivory, two kindred spirits right here. This is my brother from another mother, Grayson Aloysius Boone.
And I'll take it even further here. When you're even talking about the opponent in Georgia here, I wouldn't even care who the opponent is. NC State could have played Kansas, and it could have had the score, and I'd have the same exact reaction. We could have beaten UNC in a secret scrimmage, and I would not care. I promise you that. Some of you think I might be lying.
Hold on now, player.
I'm very serious. It's a scrimmage.
Wait a minute. I don't care if it's a spitting or pissing contest. If we beat the boys in baby blue in it, I'm geeked up. I'm excited. I don't care if it's a power walking competition. If we power walk faster than the heels, I'm all right with that. I'm all right.
This is the only scenario in which I wouldn't care because it does not count for anything.
That's true.
It has no relevance on the rest of the season. Again, we don't know who played. We don't know what we looked like on offense. We don't know what we looked like on defense. We don't know what Georgia tried to do in this game or did not try and do in this game. A scrimmage is used to start to figure things out, but not show everything you have in your bag. For NC State baseball fans, you saw just a couple weeks ago, we played a doubleheader against Duke where we're not even using regulation rules to play the game. It's just a scrimmage, okay? I know there's a lot of narratives that people are trying to push about Kevin Keats. Save it for later in the season if you're going to do it, because right now is too early in this season to have any sort of conclusions to be drawn here. We come out the first couple weeks and we look like trash, sure, let them fly. But a secret scrimmage holds like literally no weight to what this season will likely look like.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like Rocky and Apollo Creed's secret third fight. Like, it's important. It's great and all that good stuff. But is it really? Is it really, right? Like the actual bad guy in that movie was Clubber Lang. Like, let's be honest here, right? Like, it just wasn't it. Again, it's a scrimmage. It's not serious. It's not the thing that matters. Please don't make a mountain out of a molehill. And I want to say this, and I mean this very genuinely. If you are looking at a secret scrimmage and castigating this team, disparaging the coach because of a secret scrimmage, you have to admit that part of you just doesn't like the Pack. And trust me, I'm from that championship stock of, you can ask my old lady. I had to go on dates doing stuff that I was bad at in order to learn how to be better at losing because I hate losing in anything. And with that being said, I'm not about to sit up here and blow smoke and talk about who did or didn't do what because of a scrimmage. Who knows if Coach Keats drew up like a million plays that got us wide open shots and we just missed them? Who knows what happened? Like, who knows? Come on, knock it off.
Yeah, no, I actually had a very similar take. If you are a person that is ready to write off everything this team may or may not do after just a scrimmage, maybe just don't watch. Maybe you put your own health ahead of this basketball season and just don't even worry about it. If that's you, just don't even watch. Maybe basketball is not for you. Yeah. We'll leave that there.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe women's basketball will be better. Our women's basketball team should give you some hope.
Women's basketball is also supposed to have a pretty good season based on what we have been hearing. We will be touching on them very shortly as well. But all in all here, it's just a scrimmage. I know we're all anxious to get into this basketball season. It's now 2 weeks away. We got a lot of football still left to talk about. That's coming up here next. Don't overreact. It's just a scrimmage. After a quick word from our sponsors, we'll be touching on the final 5-game stretch for Wolfpack football. Now time for your game changer of the week, and that is Athletic Brewing Company. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. Their brews are great tasting and award-winning, and they beat out full-strength beers in global competitions. They brew over 50 styles of craft non-alcoholic beer, including IPAs, Goldens, sours, and more. They're also constantly releasing limited edition experimental styles to add to the variety. And simply, they're fit for all times, whether you're watching a big game or your kid's game, whether you're working out or tackling work, they have you covered in any scenario. You can find Athletic Brewing Company in-store, online, or at bars around the country. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off athleticbrewing.com. At Brewing Company, fit for all times. All right, we're back. We have survived the bye week. Some might even say that we won the bye week in terms of what happened this weekend with college football. NC State did not play, obviously. There was no stress. It was nice to have a weekend of no stress and simply watch how the rest of the ACC played out. And some favorable results, maybe some more so than others. But what we're going to do now, we're going to bring up the schedule, their final 5 games. We're going to talk about some ceiling, some floor, and maybe some in-between of what to expect through this last 5-game stretch. All right, so here you have our final 5 games. Of course, we welcome Clemson into Raleigh at the end of this week. It is homecoming week here in Raleigh, so maybe some additional buzz before that game kicks off on Saturday. You saw Miami was able to outlast Clemson. Maybe a bit of luck as Mario Cristobal nearly outcoached himself yet again, but Miami was able to topple Clemson the end of that game, and we have those two as our next 2 opponents, both home games, notably so. Then, of course, we go on the road back-to-back. Then we see Wake Forest on the road and then Virginia Tech on the road, 2 teams that are sort of battling in the middle of the pack at the moment. And then, of course, we have our crosstown rivals, North Carolina, at the end of the season, as always. They suffered a loss against Virginia. Of course, many of us wearing red and white did catch the end result of that game. The jokes were flying. Tears were plentiful.
The mighty Virginia Cavaliers, and so many Walmart fans told us that you all barely beat UVA. The operative words there are you all beat UVA. I think that those are the important things here, because I'm pretty sure, looking at the result that you all had, I'm pretty sure that you all beat UVA is something you wish you could say. Anywho, shout out to Money Musket and the crew.
Looking at these last 5 games here, Kenton, we're currently sitting at 4-3. In some of the results, we'll talk about the ACC standings in just a second. Some of the results may have even helped NC State stay afloat. Of course, being realistic here, I do think it's a long shot to be talking about Charlotte at this point in the season here. But I also wouldn't say that the door is necessarily closed either.
Oh, the door absolutely isn't closed, but I think that the important thing for NC State is every game is winnable, but every game is losable.
Correct.
Every game is winnable, every game is losable. And not only that, there is only one team in the ACC right now that's shown, hey, we're head and shoulders above everybody. And even that team hasn't really shown their head and shoulders above everybody so much as, like, the reality is Duke was leading that game against Florida State before Riley Leonard got hurt. Like, that's just the reality. That's just me being 1,000% honest. So with that in mind, the teams that are ahead of us in the standings, when you think about the teams that are ahead of us in the standings. And thank you for bringing up the standings. Let me ask you a question, Grayson. Of all the teams in front of us, right, you got Miami, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Boston College, Virginia Tech, Duke, North Carolina, Louisville, Florida State. Have any of those teams outside of Florida State shown that, like, hey, we're not – it would take a miracle for us to lose two or more games for the rest of the season?
I mean, based on some of the results we've seen just the last 2 weekends, you had Louisville down at the hands of Pitt, and you just saw UNC lose to Virginia. Nearly anything is possible at this point of the season. And I saw a lot of comments saying that Coastal Chaos seems to live on. The 2 divisions going away, we're just 1 now. Yeah. I'm not ready to call it. I mean, how can you with the chaos that we've seen here and still 5 weeks left? It could be nearly anyone vying for that second spot there to get into the championship game in Charlotte.
But again, it's all about NC State, and it's not about anybody else. It's about us the rest of the way. It's about us, because most of the teams that are ahead of us are still in front of us. The only team that I believe is on our schedule going forward that's behind us is Wake Forest. Miami is in front of us. Clemson is in front of us. Virginia Tech is in front of us. That's North Carolina, obviously, in front of us. So we have a bunch of games where if we take care of business, we're going to start jumping these teams naturally. But like I said, every game is winnable. Every game is losable. Every single one of them. That no game on this schedule would I be – I'll tell you this much. I wouldn't be surprised with any result from hearing we went 5-0 to we went 0-5. I would not be surprised with either result.
It's kind of wild that we have reached this talking point, because I do agree with you. Now, I think I actually would be very surprised if we did go 5-0, but that's just based on what we've already seen this year through 7 games. But 4-1, I think you could make some cases there. 3-2, yeah, I could see it. 2-3, sure, I could see that too. 1-4, I could see that happening. And 0-5 would probably kill me to witness an 0-5 stretch to finish the season here. But it's not out of the question. These are 5 teams that are going to play you likely right down to the end of every single game. So again, like we've been saying all season long, we have got to avoid the situation where it is NC State versus NC State. And unfortunately, it has been way too many instances of that of late. And this is why the bye week essentially came at the perfect time, because you have got to figure out how to execute at a higher level and not take yourself out of ball games here. Because again, all 5 of these teams can absolutely beat you, all 5 without question. And so with the fluidity of the ACC standings from week to week, it's chaos. If NC State has already thrown in the towel, if NC State is not interested in making any adjustments from here on out, yeah, it could be a very bumpy finish to what has been a bit of a roller coaster year so far. But again, that door to where we're trying to get is not yet closed. It'll take a lot of doing to get in that door, but it's not closed. Everything that we want is still ahead of us, but ultimately it's up to NC State.
And even beyond that, there are many things that I would say, like, let's just be honest here. Is an 8-5 season a success from where we are right now? I'd say yeah. An 8-5 season from here, that means that we go 4-2 the rest of the way. We win at least 3 of these games and win a bowl game. I'd say yeah.
At this point, I would take that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a success. If you say a 9-win season, hey, never once in NC State's history have we won exactly 10 games. We won 11, but never 10. Anywho, yeah. Would that be a success? Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there are multiple things here that I would say, like, the reality is the season isn't over. Don't stop supporting this team. Don't keep supporting this team. They deserve all your love. They deserve all the things. At the end of the day, this team has some problems to figure out. But I will say this. Their problems are not they have a few deeply pervasive problems, but they don't have 1,000 tiny little cut problems where it's like, we got to fix this and we got to fix that and we got to fix this and we got to fix that. There, to me, are really a few areas, which we'll talk about later in the week. To me, there are 2 to 3 key areas that if we can clean these up, I am guaranteeing you we win at least 3 of these games the rest of the way. At least 3.
Right. It's like we've been saying. It's been the same problems that have been plaguing us so far this season. And it's literally just a handful of pretty big time problems. Like you said, Kenton, it's not a whole bunch of fires that we have to go and put out here. It's probably like 3 to 4 major ones. And if we use that bye week to do so, I think we're going to find out pretty quickly when Clemson rolls into town here on Saturday. We're going to take a quick break, pay some bills, and round this thing out. Stick with us. Our second sponsor of the day is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is simply the most fun you can have this fantasy football season. PrizePicks is super simple to play, and you can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. With quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types, PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app, guaranteed. This week on PrizePicks, you can select Brandon Ayuk to go over 80 reception yards or Kirk Cousins to throw more than 3 touchdowns. With PrizePicks reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For NFL games and college football top 25 matchups, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury reassurance. So go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, that's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, rounding out this Monday episode, just a bit of recap from what we've already talked about. The secret scrimmage that took place, NC State versus Georgia. Relax. 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 There's no reason to fly off the handle without a single game being actually played on the schedule so far. There's a lot of things to be excited about in some of the scheduling we have this year. Some massive opportunities for Kevin Keatts and the Wolfpack, playing some SEC teams fairly early. The ACC itself as a league should be much stronger. You have to expect there'll be several opportunities there. Think about all that's ahead of us instead of being so wound up in losing a secret scrimmage that has no impact on this season. Think about that just for a second here.
Don't blow your gasket over this. It's not that big of a deal. And also for the rest of the season, again, anything is possible. Anything is possible. This team letting us all down, losing out, possible. This team pulling off something crazy, winning out, possible. But it's about what this team wants to do and how they want to utilize the personnel that they have with what's left, to me.
Yeah, this football season, I mean, we talked about it going into the bye week. Questions about who this team is and what they're going to show us after this bye. They'll show you exactly who they are. If they've thrown in the towel, you're going to see it. But if they're rallying around the guys, if they're rallying around MJ, around Peyton, around this coaching staff, you'll see that too. And if they come out flat against Clemson, well, maybe that's the season. Maybe that's it, despite what could be left on the table here. Regardless, the vibe of this team, I think you're going to see it very quickly when Clemson rolls into town this weekend on homecoming. That'll do it for us here on Monday. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in with us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, toss some comments down there in the comment box. We got to have plenty of them to discuss once Friday rolls around. Thank you all so very much for the support. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.